Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6 of the Palmcast. I am the Sable King of Texas. I'm Tom. I am joined here with Teddy Buchanan, my co-host. Teddy, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm awesome. Can't believe it's episode 6 already. Feels like it's what, episode 26, you know?
I feel
Awesome.
I feel like we've had so many good episodes and I agree with you. I feel like we've been doing this for a long time even though we haven't. It's interesting. We just recorded a show last week with us and Mike Fiore. We talked to Tom McClendon. We have Joe Levert coming up, Hayes Jackson. We have a real
Mm.
big and David Creech. We got an all-star lineup, man, and we're working on some other interesting people to be as guests as well. So we have a lot more coming up, guys, a lot more coming up. So stay with us and you make sure you like and subscribe the channel and follow along on the podcast. So as we always do, Teddy, what's up with you, man?
Man, I'm glad you mentioned all the guests. I'm like still in awe of Mike Fiore, man. Like what a nice guy. Great to talk to him, obviously. But what an operation the guy's got. Holy crap, you know? And then it's funny we keep running into these guys like this that have all this experience, all this knowledge, and they're like the most likable, down to earth people too. It's such a pleasure to talk to people like that, and I think all of our guests that are going to be on that we've got lined up are like they fall in that same category. So I'm really happy about how this is going. Like I said from the beginning, for being a co-host, I'm still a fan, and I like to watch the shows too. Um, but yeah, I've been kind of same stuck on repeat, potting up stuff. As everybody can see in the background, all these up here, they were half gallons before on the top shelf. Now they're all up to 1 gallon. Trying to catch up to you and have this dynamite inventory. Maybe one day I can be like the Sable Prince of the North.
That was it. What's so funny is I remember when you and I first talked about this back in 2021, we were going to have the Sable King of the South and the Sable King of the North. So,
Yep,
a fun fact.
exactly.
Yeah, that was funny. That's man, 5 years ago, huh? How about it?
Crazy how time flies.
How about it?
What's been going on with you?
Same thing, man. I really enjoy our guests. I learn something new every time. I will say I'm extremely humbled that this is kind of exploding in the way that it is, and I'm very humbled that we get to spend time with people who are operators who are way more skilled, intelligent, and all the things than I'll speak for myself. So I
Yep.
really enjoy that. It's been a lot of fun. The only other thing that I've been doing this week is, as you can see, my background's a little bit different. I'm not at home. This is not the greenhouse, everybody. This is not a fake background. This is actually like a real background. If Tom McClendon's watching, he'd probably ask me if I'm in Georgia right now, and the answer is no. But these are all loblolly pines over here, and this is my ranch. So I'm in East Texas. Came out here for 2.5 days, and really just came out here to burn some gigantic piles of pine and tree or pines, oaks, elms, cutting down a bunch of stuff. And you can see a little over here. This is all going to be sables. So our solar panels are up. Oh boy, this is hard. Up here, up in the meadow. So all the everything here at the ranch is off-grid solar. Our little cabin here, and all of this is going to be sables and other stuff. But this is all going to be plants, and I'm pretty excited about the ability to come out here and actually do this landscaping. So I'm excited to have you out here at some point as well, man.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. You've been talking about this for years. And I remember when you finally got the ranch, how stoked you were, and finding like the native sable miners on your property is awesome. That's incredible. The creek, you know, you got the water source there. You got so many cool things going on. There's gonna be awesome when you get like those big giant 20-gallon pots planted there. They're gonna take off.
I can't wait. That's going to be an entire episode in and of itself. I feel like it's going to be a comedy show trying to uh, pack all these things up and put them in a trailer or on the back of my truck and tow all this stuff because I have that Urasana that's like 20, 25 gallons or more. That thing's like 9 feet tall. To get it in my garage, I have to like bring the petioles down and like put it in sideways. It's so big. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, man, there's I wish I can take my camera and my phone down to the branch and show everybody all the native miners, but it's like a quarter mile, half mile away, and there's no cell service there. So just trust me, there's a big population of Sable miners. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, man. So I'm excited about today. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about something that, well, not a little bit, a lot of bit about something that you and I get asked about all the time. So in our last episode, we talked to Mike, and Mike is oftentimes a full scale from either seed or cuttings or some sort of tissue from his plants, right? So he's like a essentially from the beginning to the retail operation. So one of the things I pride myself on, and I know you do as well, is, and we've done this since the beginning. I've never done it any other way, but you and I grow everything from seed from the beginning, from the acquiring of the seeds to, cleaning them and getting all the pests out to getting the fruit and the seed separated and all that stuff, potting up and separating. So we're gonna spend this episode talking about that because you guys buy stuff from myself and Teddy, and you kind of miss the whole journey. Lots of these things have been on since the beginning. So with that in mind, Teddy, tell me a little bit about how you get your seeds, and I'll chime in as well. So, how do you source your seeds? Do you get them from your own property? Do you get them from people you know? Do you get them fresh? Tell us about that whole part of the process.
Yeah, so we touched on this in one of the previous episodes of I think it was just our journey of how we got started. Um when we first started, it was like impossible to find seeds for us. And looking back now, it kind of leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for some of the people that I've run into because you and I both now have such an abundance of seeds. Like, why are all these people being so stingy with seeds back then, you know? Most people just cut the seed stalks off and throw them out or have a landscaper do it. I don't know. So I mean, if there's no competition like to grow them or whatever, but all these people that just have home gardens, like, man, it was like pulling teeth to get seeds. So we would just, man, I'd take anything I could get for free at that time. I had Sabal still in the ground at that point and other stuff, but nothing was mature enough to fruit yet. Man, I bought seeds from Rare Palm Seeds before. So oddly enough, I wanted to grow all those Sable miners. Which here I'll grab one, right?
I remember that you ordered like 1,000 seeds or something. I thought you were
Dude,
crazy, and you
dude,
sowed them in
four
that.
dude, 4,000 seeds.
Even
So
better.
so Sable Miner's native, right, to North America.
Yep.
I had to order seeds from Germany from Rare Palm Seeds, get a permit, phyto inspection sheet, and like go through all this rigmarole to get seeds that are native to North America, oddly enough. But that's how bad I wanted it, and I didn't care. I was gonna make it happen and just force it to happen. I think even back then, like I might have seen some stuff that Frank posted maybe on Palm Talk. Um, but I don't think I got any seeds from him back then. Um, Fast forward a little bit, and I think we both got seeds from that Charlene Palms or whatever.
Yep.
That's where I got like Maritima and Yapa and stuff like that.
Yep.
Um, and then I think I started later hooking up with Frank, the Palm Hunter. Um, we'll plug him a little bit because
Yep.
he's kind of one of the biggest seed sellers, like in that we know of, anyways.
He
It's
is
kind of what he does. He doesn't sell plants; he just sells seeds.
absolute high quality seeds too. So go find Frank.
Yeah, Palm Hunter, things on eBay, Etsy, and Palm Talk, and on Facebook too. Um, but yeah, fast forward, then I've got all these sables that are producing seed. Now I showed you this year. I had so much extra seed. I piled all these seed stalks into a big 55-gallon trash barrel, and I just didn't need them anymore and just threw them all in the compost pile. That's how much seeds I have now. So like back from the beginning to now is such a drastic change. It's unbelievable. What are some of the ways that you get your seeds or you have in the past?
Yeah, so my story starts a lot like you. I think I told the story on one of the earlier episodes, and how I started in general was now my 11-year-old Conrad. Him and I in 2021 found a bunch of miners in a neighboring town that were actually flowering, and the seeds were completely mature. And it was like January, and I emailed the Parks and Rec guy of the city, and he's just like, yeah, I don't care. Come and take them because I'm gonna have the landscapers go get rid of them. And I was like, man, that's fantastic. So here I am. Our oldest son didn't want to be a part of any of this, but Conrad and I park my vehicle next to the fire station, and then we walked with this gigantic trash bag, uh, contractor bag, and we went over there, and I just put the inflorescence in there, clipped it off, pushed it in, and we went to all of them. I don't know, thousands, and that was like the impetus for how we started our Sable Miners. That's our Little Elm Sable Miners. I actually have some of those up in the shop still. Those are hyper local. And then just like you, I started finding people that had seeds. And even from the beginning, I really wanted to focus on, you and I really focus on generally, I'll say, not always, but generally, cold hardy. So I always try to find, genetics that have been through some tough times. So I try to source from people that I know, people that I've met. I find palms that have been through lousy winters, and I use those seeds. So I started trying to reach out to people on Palm Talk, and I wasn't on Facebook at that time yet as a Sable King, primarily Palm Talk. And that's where you and I got our Bald Head Island seeds back in 2020, I think January of 2022, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah.
I got just all sorts of seeds. And like you, I was just trying to hunt for the most cold hardy stuff, the most unique stuff. Some of the stuff I'm never gonna grow again. I have no interest in Maritima,
Right.
Yapa, or Mauritius Like I don't want to grow them anymore. There's just very few people that can actually grow them, and then I get stuck with palms on the shelf that I have to give away. If anybody out there wants a buy one get one free Maritima, they're up in the shop. Please, I've got like 4 or 5 left. Please buy me out of them. I don't want them, and they're pretty big too. They're like well over a gallon. But otherwise, they're gonna hit the compost pile. So, uh, and then I got a hold of Frank years ago, and I bought a lot of my seed off of Frank. And then since then, you know, meeting people the last couple years like Tom McClendon and Joe Levert. Joe has got, if you've been to Aquinas, Joe's got amazing parent palms. And Joe's been very generous in sharing a lot of his seeds. But that's kind of been, and then again, too, like you, when I first started, I didn't have a lot of mature palms, but now our Louisianas are very heavily fruiting. I got some minor Emerald Isle giants. Our Beaufort, North Carolina, is actually seeding currently this year for the first time. So yeah, that's kind of how I started. I do my best. I think just like you, I do my best to make sure I know where my seeds are from. I really don't want to be the guy that sells somebody something and 5 years later it's just a Sable Miner. I do my
Yep.
best. Like it, people have to understand, and Tom will tell you this too. Him and I talk about this all the time. Unless you're given a reason for it not to be if you get something from somebody, whether it's seeds or a plant, and they tell you it's X, you should respect X unless you're given a reason for it not to be X. It's just that simple. So I do my best to try to collect things from people that I know have the palms that are competent. And I don't want to be the guy that sells you something that turns into a minor 5 years later because I just
Yep.
found out last week that a local Riverside I bought is about to flower and it's 4 years old. It's
Yep.
not a Riverside. It's definitely a minor. So that's kind of how I got into that process. So I'm meticulous, just like you, I think about how we collect. And I try to get as much fresh seed as possible too, as well.
Yeah, that can't be understated. And that's something you've done an excellent job from the beginning of with your documentation. So, man, I remember even back on in the Palm Talk days, you just posting constant updates of your pictures of all your palms that you had, constant documentation of any seeds that you've gotten, and I'm good with all of that as well, because you have to be like you said, the worst feeling in the world is like I'd rather just not sell something, and I haven't stuff that I've been like kind of iffy about. I've just thrown it in the compost
Yep.
because I'm not going to plant it here. And if it was supposed to be for sale and I'm not sure about it, I am not in good conscience going to sell it to anybody under any circumstances. Like I would have to basically sell it half price and tell them it's a mystery. It's the
I've
only
thought
way.
about doing that. I've thought about having like an Etsy part of my store that's like I've got mystery palms and they're like 80% off. They could either be a Black Burniana, Palmetto, a minor.
Yep.
I don't know. You roll the wheel and good luck
Yep.
to you.
But it would have to be under those circumstances because
Correct.
this is a long term game that we're in. Like if we sell crappy stuff for 2-3 years in a row, we're gonna get such bad reviews. We're gonna be out of business.
It's a reputation thing, man. Like,
For sure.
I know you and I both your name and my name, like we do. I to me, it's kind of golden, right? If people should know that I know. Well, I want people to buy from me, knowing that what they're buying is quality, and
Yeah.
that they will go and scream it from the rooftops and tell their friends that, man, I just bought the best thing. You should buy it too, because the word of mouth definitely carries, right? So if we start doing a crappy job, and there are people, it's probably something we should talk about in an episode, but I've done some stupid stuff back in the beginning, like before we go out on to the next part of the topic. I remember I went on eBay and I was just trying to buy as many palms as I could in 2021 after the freeze. 'Cause I had a goal of like 125 in the ground that year, and I got pretty close. But I remember, that's like the thesis for why I started my business. But I went on to eBay, and this person's like, I'm selling lots of 12 of either Sable Birmingham or Louisiana or minor. And I'm just like, it's a big gap between what that could be. It's a really big gap. And I'm not gonna lie, I bought a 12 pack and I planted them in my yard. Some are actually still getting to the size where they should flower if they're minor, but they're not minor yet. What are they? No idea. But you want to know what? They definitely get through winter every single year with no problems whatsoever. But don't do that. Don't be stupid like me. And
Yep.
I literally bought 12, probably like 1 gallon plants for like $75. It was stupid. But I definitely took the chance and it worked out because I have a lot of room. But some people that just have a small yard and you're buying something and you want a specific something in a spot because you only have 5 spots. And if you sell
Yeah.
them a minor, and it's like you ruin someone's 5 years, and that sucks. I don't want to be that guy. That's not me.
Yeah, and that ruins the hobby too because then what are we kind of battling with all the information that we put out? We're trying to battle the misinformation, and one of the key things is people just constantly repeating like, pick a palm like no, Brazoriensis won't live here. Well, hold on, let's backtrack. Where'd you get that plant from? Oh,
Exactly.
well, some guy that said it was. Well, who's this guy? Like, does he grow palms? Did he just, where did he get it from? Oh, I don't know. So you might have planted a causarium, dude, in zone 7. Like, so
Exactly.
now you're saying that Braziliensis won't live, and you don't even know if that's what it was, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? So that's why I really think and I really like how we do this hobby because and this business too. But I really like it because I think you and I are trying to take a hobby and really professionalize a genre because there's not a lot of professionalism, I'll say, in this outside of like wholesalers, right?
Yeah,
You have some wholesalers that do very well, but from the small shop, I don't think I will say I think you and I probably do it the best outside of Tom and stuff like that. Our little group of people, I guess you'll say.
yeah. That's why there's been some people recently, and this is I'm never trying to knock people or naysay or anything. Me and you, if anything, we're the most encouraging, and we like to we're giving all this information like insider secrets out. We're telling you how to grow all your palms from seed today. You could literally take it over and do it, you know. But the only problem is you've got to catch us and beat everything that we're doing to take us out, you know. So I've got no worries about it.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother show, man. But there's a lot of people who try to grow 5 seedlings, 20 seedlings, and start a business, and man, there's that's like 5 shows. There's so many bumps and bruises and scrapes and mistakes and like time. Time's the biggest one, man, because
Time, yeah,
this is not like you plant a Washingtonia Robusta where you have a 10-gallon plant in 2 years or something, right? Like you can get some big plants very quickly. It's not how it works in the Sable game. It takes forever, man. And if you make mistakes early on and cut your corners, it sucks. So, yeah, there's another topic that I want to talk about at some point. But you mentioned like knowing what things are, but like labeling,
yeah.
and and you and I have gone through probably 15 iterations of how we label our stuff. But we'll touch upon that on another one. Um. So that's kind of how we source our seeds. So let's talk a little bit about, and I'll start off on this one, but let's talk a little bit about like the next step, right? So once you have your seeds, what do we do with them? And I think a little some of this I'll say I learned obviously when you talk to Frank, especially all he does is seeds. So him
Yep.
and Tom are very good sources of information for the next step. And I learned a lot because years ago I did not know all that well. And so I learned. I remember when so the point of the segment is you got to make sure you clean your seeds off. And I don't mean clean by like water. I mean things that are very toxic that kill palm weevils, that kill beetles, that kill all sorts of stuff. Palm weevils are generally going to be your biggest enemy when it comes to seeds. You deal with caterpillar moths when your inflorescences are blooming, and we'll talk about that. I think pest management in another episode. We have that somewhere down the road. But for the seeds especially, I learned Tom uses when you and I got our Bald Head Island palmetto seeds, they were collected obviously in habitat. And the
Yep.
gentleman was so nice. He sent me, I don't know, 25 or 30 of them. And I got the bag. I had them on my count or on my desk. And like the next day, I'm like, what is crawling around in all this stuff? Like, what is this stuff? And I asked Tom, and Tom was like, it's palm weevils. I'm like, oh, fantastic. If left unchecked, they basically go and they bore a hole in your seed and they eat the inside of the fruit, and essentially you have a hollow seed. So that sucks. So that's going to happen a lot when you collect things in habitat. I think less so I've seen it. I haven't seen it from the seeds at my house. So what do we do about that? So for me, I rely a lot. I do a lot of bifenthrin. Bifenthrin, I use it inside my greenhouse. Bifenthrin, you can use it to kill ants. Bifenthrin will kill anything that has a shell, pretty much. I spray it. It's very affordable. But I just take enough to mix like a gallon of water. I put it into a big ball jar, and I soak all the seeds in there for about 24 to 48 hours. I empty it out and then I wait a couple days and then I do it again. And the reason I do that is because I want to nuke any adults, and you'll see them just come up to the top. And I want to nuke all the living adults, and all the adults have probably already laid. And so you do that 2 or 3 times over the stretch of some time in between, so that you can get both all the adults and the larvae as well. So basically, it's not just like you just go and collect a bunch of seeds, you hold on to them, you put them in a bag. You put them in a bag, you open up the bag 6 months later, you've got palm weevils have eaten everything, and all you have is dust. Like it's a real problem.
I just literally went through this. I begged and pleaded and got some seeds that I've wanted for a long time, and got them. I'm holding on to them because I made a video for YouTube showing how I do all my seeds inside during the winter. And I had this bag sitting there. I'm waiting. It was one of the ones I was going to start in spring. And I look in it, and same thing. What in the heck is moving in there? Oh my God, there's a weevil. So then I had to just jump on it, peel all the seeds, and half of them have holes in them already.
Yep.
But like if I waited any longer, 100% would have holes.
Yeah.
So I didn't use bifenthrin. I put them in rubbing alcohol, but the same thing. It popped. The weevil came. He's like, I don't like this, and popped to the top. And there was only one in there. Took all the seeds out that had holes in them, and then kept them soaked in there for a while. Watched them, changed the water, did it again, just like you said, and lost half the seeds. If I would have been more proactive, and as soon as I got the seeds, maybe a few of them the weevil would have gotten to, but lost half of them doing that because I just waited, like you said, don't wait, and whatever, I paid the price.
And they work quick, man. Those weevils will go through your seeds very fast. Tom had told me, so Tom, I'll let him explain this on a future call, but Tom uses Raid spray actually initially. So he takes the bag that it comes in, he sprays the heck out of the inside of the bag with the Raid spray, which basically kills everything that's out and about. You could do the same thing in bifenthrin, and then use bifenthrin after that, right? So it's one of those things where it's one of those things where um you you almost can't kill them, or like I haven't seen hurting the seeds, right? You could definitely uh you can kill the seeds in other ways, like you can freeze them for too long, and you can cause all sorts of damage. But when you use the bifenthrin, or you spray them, or you use rubbing alcohol, I use also, dude, I go nuclear. Like I'll do peroxide first. Peroxide really
Yep,
pisses off the weevils. You'll see
yep,
them just come up to the top, and they're just like, oh gosh, I hate my life. Um, so it's one of those things where if you want to hold on to stuff for a while, I recommend, just do a couple rounds of things, and it's better to be safe than sorry, if you will. I'll say that.
for sure. And for anybody watching, like I'll say this too: if I can avoid chemicals, I will, and just in my life in
Sure.
general.
Sure.
Um, I'm not like a hippie walking with bare feet down the street kind of guy, but there's, you know, there's subject matters that I'll kind of pick and choose from that I feel are good. And like I like to eat as clean as I can and feed my kids good stuff. And
Yeah.
but there's a line here. So if anybody watching's like, oh my God, they use chemicals. Well, guess what? If all you eat is vegetables, the vegetable farmer is using some kind of chemicals to kill insects. That's a fact, or you wouldn't get any vegetables to eat.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing on our small scale is we're farmers, we're palm farmers.
Yep.
And these are just the things that you have to do. It's not an option because even, okay, you don't want to spray the seeds. Do you really have to? Well, if they don't have weevils, then no. Um, but guess what? If you want to grow palms and you want to get your nursery license, the state is going to mandate that you spray everything. You
Oh
have to
yeah. That
option.
that's a
So
whole
this,
nother conversation.
So this is not something that Tom and I came up with. This is stuff that you just have to do, whether you like it or not. And this is how you can play with the big boys. You've got to follow the rules and go with the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And like ultimately, you don't have to do it. You don't have to listen to us. Like I tell my kids, look, I've done a lot of dumb stuff in my life. You don't have to listen to me. I recommend that you do because otherwise you're gonna end up doing the same stupid things that I've done that I'm trying to have you not do and repeat. So you don't have to listen to us, but 2 years later, when you start realizing that half of your seeds are gone, and you'll realize what the fight of weevils is, you'll figure it out. And the same thing, like if you look, I have honeybees, so I don't want to spray stuff on my inflorescences or my fruit stuff outside, but I spray copper. I do bifenthrin. I do oh man. Uh I do oh gosh, what's it called? Holy cow. Pyrethrin, all the same idea. But again, if you do it intelligently and you do it before the inflorescences have actually flowered and the buds are just kind of in the in the swelling phase, you don't hurt pollinators, right? So you just have to be responsible. And I think that's hopefully um what we're trying to teach here is it's okay to use stuff. Just be smart about it and don't go putting your tongue on it after you spray it because that'd be stupid,
For
obviously.
sure. That was one thing for like my in-ground plants, um, which I've got. I don't know what the dang palm count is that I've got in the ground now. It's a lot. It's like a stupid amount.
Yep.
Go ahead and start getting scale on your prized palms, and you are gonna beg and plead to find some kind of chemical to spray on them
That's
because they're
another one.
getting torn up quick.
That's
And that's
another one. Scale.
what I do was I got that $230 bottle of Safari powder, and everything gets dosed with it now. I tore you saw that big new rock bed that I built for
Yeah.
the desert plants.
Yep.
There used to be a gigantic prickly pear cactus I grew from one pad there. Had it for like 15 years in the ground. Really cool plant, but covered in scale, and I couldn't kill it. So that kept transferring scale to my palms. It's got to go. Dug it up, compost pile. Bye.
Yeah.
Just what you got to do.
Yeah, so I guess the point of this part of the segment is don't skip it, guys. Don't do it. You can do it your own way, whatever you want to do, but just don't skip it. You'll
Yep.
regret it later, and you'll end up with. I mean, imagine if I didn't figure out that was happening on the Bald Head Island seeds fast enough. I have not gotten seeds. I've talked about that. Those palms mean so much to me. I'm hoarding all of those. They're beautiful palmettos. I have the
Yep.
GPS coordinates of where he collected them. Like that means a lot to me. And if I didn't do anything, I would have zero of them. But I have 12 or 15 of them out there now. So
Yeah.
just do it because if you get seeds that are rare, you don't want to lose them. Just don't do
No.
it.
That's another. Let's not miss the chance to remind each other of that. But we promised each other we're going to go on a Bald Head Island trip, and when we get enough time, and maybe the kids are a little older, and we can get them all together to go, we need to still do that dang trip
I
because
agree.
what an adventure that would be to kayak across the channel and go and camp out on the island. We got to do it, man.
I agree. I have coordinates for the older ones that I have, and then the younger ones I have in the shop. I have coordinates of the parent palms as well. They're a little bit like up the coast from the other ones. So, yeah, definitely. Habitat collecting is fun. You got to go at the right time, which is for those is like February. I just want to be careful not to go and fall off my kayak into into the ocean in February. That would really suck. That would not be warm.
For
So
sure.
so on this next one, um, so tell me a little bit about so we've acquired the seeds, we've cleaned them.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the next step here, Teddy. So how do you germinate them? Do you take them and baby them or do you do it a different way.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different methods, and I think the one that I don't do that I think a lot of people do is the baggy method. It works and people like it. I just don't. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm not knocking it. If people have good results, so be it. But usually, when people do the baggy method, they will get a sandwich bag or a 1 gallon bag. If you have a little bit more seeds, get some moist sphagnum moss or even some clean potting soil. Get it really moist, not to the point where you're dripping water out of it, but pretty wet. Put all your seeds in there, mix them in, and then you can put them on a heat mat or even put them in a window or put them on top of your water heater. People do different kinds of ways that if they don't have a great setup to do it, but people have good luck doing that. Personally, I do uh, community pots. So now I've got my seeds, they're clean. I like to soak them in a bowl of water after all of the treating is done. Now I'm just soaking them in water to get them hydrated and ready to go in the community pot. Um, I can't think of a seed that I don't do that with. I do them the same way with all of them. And I like to soak them for at least 2 days. One day is not enough. I like to go 2 days.
Yep.
Then I decide they're good. Uh, get a community pot. So I'll just let's see. Now I'll if I have a small amount of seeds, I'll do a 1 gallon. Fill the 1 gallon pot like about up to this line right here, about 3/4, 7/8 of the way full. Get the soil in it completely moist. Put the seeds on top and make sure they're spaced out, enough. So 1 gallon pot, I like to do lots of no more than 40 in there, 50 at most. If you do any more, I've done it in the past and made that mistake. I put 100 seeds or more in a 1 gallon pot and they all come up and you basically got a mat of grass and all the roots are tangled. So 40, 50, you can go 1 gallon pot. You still have to separate them and pot them up fairly soon when they come up. Um, if I'm doing more than that, 100, which I usually like to do, they're going in a 3 gallon pot for sure because they can stay in there for a lot longer.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, get my seeds, soak them, get them in the community pot, cover them with if it's a 1 gallon, a gallon bag fits perfect over it. If it's a 3 gallon bag, that's kind of my summer style, or a 3 gallon pot, and I'm just doing those in the greenhouse. They're just sitting out here. Sometimes put a trash bag over them just to keep the moisture in there. Build a little greenhouse. If I'm doing them in a 1 gallon pot, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be my winter style. And I do those on heat mats in my bedroom. And you just keep watching them, keep heat on them. And eventually, you're going to start getting little sprouts that come up like this.
Look at that. A live community pot, everybody.
Little, little tiny grass sprouts. And
That's
then
it.
you just keep watching them. Make sure you keep them moist. Here's a good 3 gallon pot.
Look at that.
There's a bunch of grass. Those are Sabal, Louisiana. These are ready to get potted up. And then if you leave them too long, now you basically got to go straight into 1 gallon pots with them. This was what I was telling you. I still had some community pots from last spring that I should have potted up, left them all year, just keep watering them. Now I'm behind, but um, yeah, that's the way I do it. Soak the seeds, community pot with soil, cover the pot, make sure it does not dry out. That's the key here. Apply bottom heat if you're doing it inside of some sort, just to give it that little bit of boost. Ambient room temperature will do it, 70 degrees or so. Bottom heat will definitely get them to pop quicker. And in the summertime, you can do it outside. No big deal. Put them in your driveway, and they're going to get enough heat. But make sure they do not dry out, and for sure make sure that you have it covered with some kind of screen or something, or else the squirrels, birds, animals are going to get in there and they're going to eat all your dang seeds. I think you had a problem with that before, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually just yelled at a a rabbit yesterday because it bit off one of the newer branches of a fig that I planted a couple weeks ago. So yes, make sure you do that. And so that's a whole nother episode is pests. But I do the same thing as you. I soak stuff. I started out, I'll say, when I started out, I didn't know any better. So I did the baggy method, and that works fine if you have a couple, two, five, seven, 10. But
Yep.
when you're like us and you're potting up 25 or 50 or 100 or more, like I did the Caribbean Mysteries from Atlanta last year. I have like 150 of those. That was in a 5 gallon pot.
Yep.
And and sorry. I um I stopped doing the whole baggy thing pretty quickly. And I remember when I went to Georgia and I met the guy at the what's the nursery south of Atlanta?
Oh, nearly native nursery.
A
Yeah.
nearly native. So he'd
Ants.
be a
Yeah.
good
Or
guy to get
large
on this.
skin.
He'd be a good guy to get on this on these on the podcast. But I remember that was probably 3 years ago ish. And I was already doing this, but I was babying them in the sense that I was keeping the pots in the house in a Tupperware and warm and humid and the heat mat on the bottom and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I asked him, I was like, "What do you do?" He goes, I get a pot, I community pot them, I put them outside in December, and I wait till April or May, and I have seedlings, and I separate them. I was like, so you don't do anything? He's like, no, I don't really care. Same thing happens in nature. I thought, oh, okay. So ever since then, I took a community pot. I usually harvest my stuff I start things late in the year, around the new year ish. But I've been starting things later because I acquire things January, February. Tom sent me seeds this week, so I'll start some more Dominguenses this week. But generally, I start the bulk of my stuff toward the end of the year, and it sits outside in the community pots in my landscaping, and it sits out there all fall, all winter through the ice storms. If we get them through snow, I don't care. I leave them, I water them whenever I water stuff. I hit them with the hose. I make sure they're watered. That's the thing. So make sure they don't dry out. Like you got to make sure they don't dry out. Make sure I've had less issues with pests like squirrels lately. I did have a beautiful Jubea 3 years ago that I had that was like a liner sized. The thing ate the heart out of the Jubea. I was so devastated. But so yeah, I know. So I got a bunch more now, but um community pots, I soak them. Exact same thing as you. I don't baby them at all. I don't do anything. I don't start them in the house. They go outside. Whenever they come up, and I separate them. I will. Um, I would like to say that I separate them and pot them up individually in a timely fashion with life and everything else that goes on. That doesn't always happen. And sometimes when I'm potting them up in the summertime, oh my gosh, man, I'm in my garage. I got my wheelbarrow. I'm sitting there on a 5 gallon bucket of baseballs from my kids. And I just sit there and I'm just scooping and potting and moving stuff
Yep.
to the greenhouse. It's like a never ending rotation. And it gets hot, man. And if you're doing 150 and you're by yourself, I've been getting help lately. Actually, my kids help put the base level of dirt in each of the bags and they put the bags next to me. I pick it up and I do the rest of it. But if you're doing it by yourself, man, it takes a long time. And if you're potting up 1,000, 1,500 a year, it takes a lot of work, man. So, like you, I I have found that they are very, very amendable. That'd be Sables. You don't have to pot them up right away. Whereas like a Nanoprops, the longer you wait, the less of a chance you have of long-term living. Sables are the opposite. They really don't care. There's some, so I plant them small, how you had in your example. They're earlier with like a single leaf, the emergent leaf. I'll pot them up, and there'll be a 1 gallon. There's some Bermudanas or Tamulipensis, sorry, that I potted up years ago that were like almost went into a 3 gallon. They were ginormous. And I remember a couple of tips, right? So that's kind of how you germinate them. And let me see what our next topic was. But oh, potting up. So so that's how you germinate them, right? I'm the same thing as you. Patience, patience, and patience. Um, I just leave them outside, and if they don't germinate by the end of the growing season, they go in the compost pile. But my busy season is like May, April, mid to end of April to like August. I'm potting up basically for months in a row. So that's kind of how I do the germination. Um, it's easy, guys. It's very simple. Just like you said, community pot, use your common sense, pick the size that is commensurate with the amount of seeds, and you go from there. So yeah, that's what I would do. So let's go to the next thing because we have a couple more parts of this show. So I will I'll start because I have something fresh on my mind and then I'll hand it over to you. But the concept of like when you're ready and germination happens, one, how do you know that things are working? Like when do you know when they're germinating? And two, when do you separate them? And how do you avoid root damage? That's like one that potting up thousands of these now, I don't know, a lot more than thousands. Um, I've learned some things. So, how do you know that things are germinating? Have you ever walked outside and looked at your community pots, Teddy, and seen that the dirt is like being pushed up in certain spots? It's like
Yeah.
mounded. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's because that's your emergent leaves pushing up the dirt. So when you start seeing things go from flat to pockets of like popping up, that's how you know that they're emerging. Other than that, just have lots of patience. And when do you pot them up? Like I said, you can pot them up whenever. It really, heck, man, just like you, I have a whole 5 gallon pot of silver saw palmettos in my greenhouse right now. I probably have 50 to 75, and they're from
Nice.
they're like last May. And I'm
Yep.
like, man, I got to do this. I'm crazy too in the sense that when I am separating, so that's how you know that they're germinating. Let's go to the like potting up thing. I've learned a couple of ways of doing this. If I have a small pot that I know that I can pot up in that session or that day or the weekend, what I'll do is the same how you transplant. I just take my fingers, put them in between all the emergent leaves, pick the pot upside down, and basically just lift the pot up. And I make a hole in the side of my wheelbarrow and I put it in there and I just cover the roots up with the compost or the dirt that I have in my wheelbarrow. And then I
Yep.
just like very carefully just peel off parts at a time, like 5 at a time, leave them laying there, and then I pot them up into the bags. That's when
Yep.
things go well. Now, and I do that for 1 gallon or 3 gallon. You don't have to pot them up on that day, that weekend. You can leave them in the corner, mound it up, and give them some water. I just pour water on them. They'll be there for a week. I potted things up a week later, 2 weeks later. But you made the comment earlier about what happens when you have a sea or like a carpet of roots. And you got to be careful because the one thing I'll say is if you're out there and you're listening and you're thinking, I'm just going to take this ball of roots, this carpet, and just start pulling them. Like you're gonna rip the roots, and once you rip those roots, they're not coming back. Like you'll plant that palm, and a week or two later, 3 weeks later, it's just gonna go and just totally shrivel up, and it's gonna die. So you kind of have to get good at doing this. There's two tricks I've found. So if it's easy, you can just put the pot there and just carefully separate them if they're not too intertwined. If they're very intertwined, one secret I use is, and I'm giving all my secrets away, but like I use this like wash basin that's probably yay tall, and I put the whole pot in there, dirt and everything, and I basically fill it up with water. And when you do that, the dirt falls away completely and you're left with just the roots. And one of the things I learned is when you take the stem and like you pull from the gigantic mat of roots, and then you pull just enough that you get tension. Not pull because you'll kill it. You'll pull something apart, but you just get some tension. And because the roots intertwine like crazy, um, if you just take the stem or whatever, and just basically like turn it side to side, and then pull. And as you pull, it basically like it just turns it side to side and it dislodges it from all the crevices that it's in. But when you have it in water, it automatically it makes it easier because you're not battling with the heavy dirt that's actually sitting there. You don't have to hit the dirt or take your fingers and like carefully pull the dirt apart. The dirt just falls completely down. You just take it and twist it and pull carefully, and basically it just effortlessly comes out. And I do that for some of my bigger pots. I've literally lost 5% of everything I've ever done like that. So that's that's one of the ways that I do my separation. So how do you separate and when do you separate? We kind of already talked about that, but how do you separate and how do you do it to not avoid damage? Have you ever tried the water method?
No, I was just gonna say that. That's one I've never done. I've heard people using a hose too and just wash off all the dirt.
Yeah.
And obviously, like it makes sense while you're explaining it because I'm like visualizing in my head like just the root mass being underwater, and then just with
Yeah.
the water, like it just loosens everything up. Like, of course, the dirt's gonna move out, but I can just see the roots like not having friction on them. They're gonna be
Correct.
like open up a little bit, have some fluid to give them lubrication too. So that makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
So like right in front of me, actually, I've got a big cardboard box because we have like the greatest setup. I've got a cardboard box in front of me, and it's sitting on top of my potting bin. So it's basically just a big, like a whatever you got a big clothes bin or
Yeah.
whatever you get at Walmart, like a 33-gallon Rubbermaid deal, and I just fill that with soil, and I sit on the same plastic lawn chair and just sit right here and pot everything up. But I do the same thing. I just literally pull out a little bit of dirt from the corner, and that's where my community pot goes. And maybe I do everything exactly the same as you otherwise, besides the water. The only thing I do, or that maybe you didn't mention, was the best thing to do is where, oh, I got another community pot right here. So when you pull them out, and I'm going to throw these in the compost anyway, so I'll actually pull them out. Who cares?
It's
So
funny.
you can see
It's funny you're doing
here's
that.
like here's the circle right around the rim of the pot.
Yep.
Here's half of them that I already pulled off and
Yep.
potted them up. So the only thing you didn't mention is what I do is that I just grab them a little bit at a time like
Yes.
this,
Yeah, absolutely.
and like you're just working with them. Like it's like when you're a first time father, and you're trying to figure out how to handle the baby. Like at first you're super nervous, and later you just got the touch, and you just know like the timing is good, and there's just no roots that are broke.
Parenting tips from Teddy Buchanan.
Dude. Like, so just watch all the soil fall off
Yep.
because this is just timing. They're not all tangled up. There's no rootlets that broke on any of those. So they went right in the compost bucket for to everybody's horror. um, the thing is, you get better at things over time, and we've started, man, thousands and thousands and thousands of seeds now. So I can just watch a community pot and I can tell when it's due, when it's overdue, when it can stay in there longer based on how many are in there. And then you just kind of adjust fire when you get them out of the pot like that. And I just know what to do. And there's kind of something, it seems like when people are more nervous about like if you only had that one community pot and it took you so long to find the seeds, you paid money, you don't really have extra money to invest in your hobby, you don't know where you're going to get seeds from other than that, it's the first couple times you're doing it. For whatever reason, man, you're just gonna mess it up. You're gonna rip roots. You're gonna
Yep.
do it wrong. After so many times of doing this, you just you got muscle memory and you just know how to do it. You know, it's just like learning everything else. Um, but don't be afraid to experiment. That's what we always tell everybody on here. Kill a couple seedlings, figuring out how to do it. Take Sable King's advice, put it in water. If you feel confident enough and you got your timing right, pull them apart by hand. But don't be afraid to mess up because that's how you learn. Like the reason why me and you are sitting here and have so much experience is because we've killed countless plants. We've put ourselves out there, invested money in this hobby, and done what other people just kind of aren't willing to do. And we've got the ability to share some knowledge with everybody else now, you know?
So what's wild is, I made the comment that I'll put a community pot back in my wheelbarrow and I'll water it. Now, this is going to be counterintuitive, but the water method, once you shake off the dirt, you would think that you're kind of committed, like you kind of got to do it. So, what I found is that this is not because I had some great revelation that I thought that this was possible. This is mainly because I just got really busy and I didn't have time. But I have left a half a community pot left in the water, and it was submerged up to like essentially where the growth point almost is. And I've left them in there for a week or two at a time, and I've just topped off more water, and I plant them, and they're totally fine. So don't be
Oh,
afraid to. It's wild, dude. They could care less. Like it's a good thing I work with sables and not like orchids or something that actually take some very much care. Uh,
yeah.
I'm really blessed that they're very, very forgiving. I've said that a hundred times. They're really forgiving. So yeah, you can leave them in water, and they're totally okay with it. Not a problem at all. So that would
Yeah,
be my
that's
secret.
a lot of places that sables grow, or at least, well, sables in general, sable minor in general, they're always in some kind of like creek or river bottom, or some kind of low lying place down near the coast or somewhere on the East Coast, even in Texas. I mean, you've got them up in like hill
At my
country and
ranch.
stuff like that. But generally speaking, they want to be close to water,
Yep.
and they're always somewhere that's going to be flooded at some point in their life for a period of time, and they're completely fine with that. They probably grow so much better getting all that extra moisture, you know.
100%. So I would just say, the hardest part is separating them. But if you figure out how to do the twisting thing, try the twisting thing. It's funny. It's like you just twist and carefully pull, and it just effortlessly just pops out because you carefully separate it from the roots. And
Yeah.
same thing. You could just take the roots and just grab both sides and just carefully like pull them apart, and you'll figure out how to do it. It's not hard, guys. And if you kill a couple along the way, you kill a couple along the way. What's the problem? So, um, all right. Well, that's good, man. So potting up, I mean, we have, two more. I want to make sure before we get to the end of this that we have some giveaways that we're set to do for both uh, stickers and some seeds. So we're on the topic of seeds. So I do want to get to that. But before that, um, potting up. So you kind of already said instinctually, you kind of know when it's time to pot them up. I usually wait until they have at least not just the emergent leaf, but at least a second one. I found that that is
Yeah.
the right time. If you pot
Yeah.
them up at the emergent leaf, I've had issues. So just I mean, and ultimately, guys, what's the hurry? Right? Like, what's the hurry? Just wait another 2 or 3 weeks or a month when it has another leaf and pot it up. Like, you're not going to buy yourself anything. So, when do you pot them up?
Same thing. There. Yeah, definitely. Now with how many palms I have, there's no rush. It's all on my own schedule. I can do what I want. Um, two solid leaves, and like when the two leaves are like the same, almost the same height. You know, the first one maybe a little bit longer.
Yep.
That's a really great time. Normally, what those will do is before they'll shoot out a third leaf, those two leaves will get a lot wider and a lot longer just being in that community pot setting like that.
Yep.
One thing I would caution against is letting them go for too long in the community pot, because then instead of having one or two main roots coming down, now you're going to have three, four, or five main roots coming down, and the
Oh
whole
yeah.
bottom of that community pot is literally going to be a tangled web like this. And it's like, imagine like if anybody's ever had uh, a golden retriever and their hair gets matted together, that's what you're trying to pull apart.
Yep.
Except for the golden retriever, you throw a pile of hair in the trash. You're trying to keep those seedlings. So there's a definitely a fine line. That two leaf stage is perfect. I think you nailed it with that.
Yeah, those roots basically hit the bottom of the pot, and then it's funny. Once you separate them, you have the roots that go down, they hit the bottom of the pot, and they
Yep.
basically just go sideways, and they make this wide
Yep.
mat. And they all just do that all together. And it's funny when you're holding onto the seedling, you got a long root and then just a sideways mat. So it's very interesting.
Yep. But
Yeah.
timing is definitely everything for that.
So,
What are common mistakes that you've run into?
um, common mistakes. I would, I mean.
I got I got one on the
All
top of
right, go
my
ahead.
head
Yeah, yeah.
with needle palms giving up too early. They need a long time. They're not like sables. Sables, you could almost set your watch depending on how much heat they get. They're right in the 6 week range, and you'll start seeing something. 6 weeks to 8 weeks depends on how fresh or old your seeds are as well. But needle palms, this pot, there's a reason why it says old needle on it. This is a 2 year old pot, and I've been pulling them out as they come up. So this was a 3 gallon pot to begin with, and I dumped the whole thing out, potted up whatever I had. Those are in 1 gallons now, and put all the seeds back in the pot. So now I'm down to the last of the seeds. Put them back in this 1 gallon, and I was like, I'm gonna give them one more shot.
Yep.
Those seeds have been 2 years old in moist dirt, and they're just coming up right now. So needle palms are kind of that weird outlier. You definitely want to give them enough time.
Yeah, I think time in general, right? The other thing that, since you mentioned that, the other thing I do is, uh, especially when it comes to a seed or a seed that is more rare and something that I want to try to maximize. I did this with my Pumos. I did this with the Caribbean Mysteries. I did this with the Dominguenses. Um, when I separate my community pot and I tip it upside down, when I find seeds that are ungerminated in that pot, I'll put them off to the side. I'll soak them again, and then I put them back into a smaller little pot. And man, I try
Yeah,
to maximize
exactly.
as much as I can. Like I don't want to throw those away because those are useful. They're rare. And I like you said, I just give them another shot, right? Because maybe those would have taken 2 weeks later to pop. And whenever I
Yep.
do that, I'll find random small pots in my greenhouse that are labeled that are like hummus second try. And I pop
Yep.
those up. I did that on my green Urasanas. And um when I had like 15 or 20 that just did not germinate. And I threw them back in. They all came back up and potted them all up. So I just don't, don't forget about the stuff that has not germinated yet. And if you want all of them, just put them back into another pot. And if they don't come up in 6 to 8 weeks, then they don't come up in 6 to 8 weeks. Oh well.
But with rare seeds too, like that, that's the other thing. Sometimes it's like just pure luck, I guess it would say, or fate, or whatever you want to say, that I've come across seeds that are so rare, and it's like talking to a dude that I don't even know how I got a hold of them. I might never see those seeds again for the rest of my
Exactly.
life, you know?
Exactly.
So you gotta definitely maximize your chances for sure.
Absolutely. Um, so, you know, we were going to talk a little bit about like misidentifying them, but I think when we have, so actually, let's transition to like the back half of this. So, misidentifying seeds and misidentifying mature palms is, and identifying them in general. We talked a little bit about this when we talked to Tom. We have booked, or we're booking, or have booked, part two of Tom McClendon. Tom is going to be on again, everybody, for everybody who asked. We roped him in. I didn't give him a choice. I just told him pick a Sunday. I need you on. So Tom is going to be on. We are going to talk about identifying. We'll do some cool stuff actually. Tom and I and you, me, Tom and Joe have been talking a lot about the Sabal antilensis and the Logidianas and kind of what the theory is. Did they come from south, north, or north, south? Are they related more to Palmetto, to Mexicana, or Mauritiiformis? So we did this. We've been doing this all week. Tom is incredibly brilliant, incredibly. So we'll do misidentification or identifying or whatever. We'll do that on another episode. But the one thing I wanted to end this one off with is so I didn't bring seeds with me. You got a bunch of seeds, Teddy, but I think, we wanted to do some giveaways, right? For all the people who are listening. Let's give some seeds away, right? So, what do you want to do? Do you want to have people comment maybe what their favorite episode was, maybe what their favorite segment of an episode was? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that selfishly, we definitely make these episodes for us because we enjoy it as well. But it's not like we're making money or getting paid. We're doing this for all the viewers. So I would say anybody that's watching, if you want to enter the giveaway for the seeds and the stickers, yeah, tell us one of your favorite segments that we've talked about, and it could be anything that was important to you that we've actually talked about on here. We'll know that you watched the whole episode. Post it in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, like Tom said earlier, and tell us what you really liked about one of the episodes. And we'll pick at random somebody or a few people, and we'll give some stuff away.
Yeah, let's do like 10 people or something, right? I mean, you and I have a lot of
Sure,
seeds. I have extra
sure.
seeds from some rare stuff that I'm not going to grow. So we'll match you up with something in your zone and we'll get something out to you and we'll get you some stickers. So as Teddy said, like and subscribe, give us a comment on your favorite episode, your segment, your favorite guest, maybe. I don't know, anything. And we'll pick a couple of people at random. I know you've got some Mexicana, you said. I have some Rosy Eye. I have some of my mystery miners. So I have all kinds of really cool stuff to be able to give away.
Yeah, let me show a couple.
Yeah.
So some people we're used to having seeds. These are just your Sable Minor Cape Hatteras.
Hmm.
You can see the seed size, right? They're pretty small. We know what Sable Miners look like.
Yep.
Look how big these Sable Minor seeds are. Like literally the size of a small grape. Huge, huge, huge. But yeah, I've got some Hatteras that I'll give away, some Mexicana. I've got a bunch of Sable Minor from Baker County, Florida.
I got those
I've
too.
got some old windmill seeds, a bunch of those. You can't have any of my needle palm seeds. I'm working on those now. Those are too valuable. I had to keep those for myself.
I need some of those. Um,
Yeah,
one of the it's funny as you showed the size of Mexicana seeds, I always find it very interesting that palmetto grows up to be a, pretty stout palm, but then you've
yeah.
got but the seed size is so different than a Mexicana. Like it's night and day.
I was thinking about that before we got on here. Like, really, yeah, you can get a millimeter ruler out, but palmetto and sable minor are super similar. It's the same size, pretty much. But Mexicano, holy crap! Why are you that big, dude? Or a Pumos? Why are you that big? It's crazy.
I know.
There's got to be some reason behind, like some animal that would disperse them or something. I'm not sure. Tom
It,
would know. We'll have to ask.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that on that show because Tom and I, we talked about some of this stuff, and it's like you've got 10, like a seed that's call it whatever size, like 10 millimeter or something. You've got like 12 sables that fit in the range because Zona had them all in ranges. So just because
Yep.
you found what the size is, congratulations, you whittled it down to maybe 10 or 12, and your investigation work has only started. So it really
Ex-
is, it's very fascinating how much of a difference they all are and how they overlap. There's so much overlap that it's not so easy just to say, oh, big seed must be Mexicana, small seed must be Palmetto. There's so many other options.
nope, not that easy. Now devote 20 years of your life and grow it up and see what it is.
And then get a Sable
Because
Minor out of
yeah, but sometimes like uh what was Joe and Tom talking about the other day? That they call it what, Fat Mary, right? That
Oh yeah,
that that big trunk sable
yeah,
palmetto.
yeah.
And I was, oh, since you're talking about it, give me some seeds. Oh, it's never flowered yet. Oh my God, it's been in the ground for so long, never
I know,
flowered yet.
I know,
Just how it goes.
I know. That's how it goes. So
I just say one before we get off. Anybody watching, you have to make the comment in the comments of this video. Do not comment on another video. This is our seed giveaway video. Make sure you comment in this one.
all right. That's a good comment there. I will say a couple of things, and actually I'm gonna quickly pull up my little trusty calendar here. So if you're watching, we have been really busy. We're actually booked up with guests until I want to say June or something. Um, we have in a couple weeks on the 29th, or we're recording on the 29th of March, Joe Lavert. That's going to be amazing. If you don't know Joe, you need to know Joe. We have David Creech, who is I believe the director of horticulture at SFA here in Nacogdoches, Texas. We have the Texas Garden Guy coming up. We have the Barefoot Gardener, which is going to be pretty fun. I'm excited about that one. We're going to have Tom again. We have Hayes Jackson coming up in a couple weeks. So if you haven't already figured it
Yep.
out, we're gonna have it's gonna be action packed. So you'll have some Tom and Teddy periodically, but you're gonna have some pretty big name guests here coming up. So hopefully you guys are liking and subscribing and you're watching all these and you're watching it on YouTube, on Spotify, however you watch it. I hope you're watching it. And yeah, we appreciate everybody out there.
Yeah, we're definitely committing a lot of energy and time to getting this thing going. And it's, again, like I said, we're literally doing this just to put content out there, um, put the right information out, gather everybody together as a community, and we enjoy. We want to talk to all of these guests that we have on, but we're doing a lot of behind the scenes work for all of you, so you can enjoy it. So definitely, like Tom said, like, subscribe, comment in the comments. Talk to us. We like to talk about plants, just how we're talking to each other like this. We'll talk to you. We'll answer your questions. Um, we don't know much about coconut palms or foxtails or anything like that, but cold hardy stuff, that's our lane. That's where we specialize in.
I love me some foxtails, man. That's a inside joke. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. We've been on here for a while, so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, like Teddy said, comment. Tell us your favorite segment. We'll enter you. In subsequent shows, we're going to be giving away plants. So make sure you're paying attention and make sure you subscribe because you may miss a really awesome plant that we give away just for watching. So. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks everybody for your time. Thanks for joining. And I'm in East Texas. Thanks everybody for from Piney Woods, East Texas. I'm signing off. And Teddy,
From Clarksville, Tennessee, the South Alaska of the South. Yeah.
Palm capital of the
Thanks for
South.
watching. Really, yeah, whatever it is, we get like Arctic cold here.
All right,
Thanks
everybody.
for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody. See ya.